Welcome to the Sissy Training Institute, a fictional academy devoted to feminine refinement, etiquette, and posture. Our stories are works of fiction, created to inspire confidence, grace, and self-expression. But every lesson shared here, from behavioral training to beauty routines, is real and empowering. Viewer discretion is advised. The manor grows quiet again after the bustle of mid-morning, sunlight stretching long and bright across the kitchen tiles. It's my favorite time of day, still, warm, and humming softly with purpose. Luncheon is simpler than breakfast, but Mistress expects precision all the same. Every plate, every fold of linen must look effortless. True elegance, she says, is invisible effort. At 12:30 sharp, I check the pantry inventory. Everything is arranged alphabetically and by category: condiments, preserves, oils, herbs, teas. I note the low jar of honey and make a small mark in the notebook to replace it this afternoon. The menu is light: spinach quiche, garden salad, and a chilled fruit tart. I wash my hands, slip on my kitchen apron, and begin. First, I preheat the oven, lining the counter with all ingredients measured and waiting. I whisk eggs and cream together until they glow golden and smooth, add grated cheese and chopped spinach, and pour the mixture into the waiting pastry shell. The scent fills the room slowly, rich but comforting. While it bakes, I turn my attention to the salad: crisp leaves rinsed and spun dry, cherry tomatoes halved evenly, cucumbers sliced at a delicate angle. I toss everything lightly with vinaigrette, coating without bruising. Mistress dislikes heavy dressings. The flavor must whisper, not shout. At 12:55, I check the quiche. The crust is golden and firm. I remove it with padded gloves, letting it cool on a rack before slicing. Each wedge must be even, measured by eye but perfected by care. The fruit tart is next, already chilled, topped with glossy berries. I dust it with sugar just before plating so it glistens in the light. Now for the table. I carry the linen cloth, freshly pressed this morning, to the dining room. Centered perfectly, its corners must hang evenly within half an inch. I set the porcelain plate, the cutlery polished until it shines, the folded napkin in a fan beside the plate. A single rose, trimmed and refreshed, rests in the crystal vase at the center. By one spikes, everything gleams. I pour chilled water into the glass, careful not to let a single drop mark the rim, and step back. The symmetry feels like music: plate, glass, cutlery, rose, sunlight. When Mistress enters, I curtsy deeply. "Luncheon is served, Mistress." She nods once and takes her seat. I stand 2 paces behind, hands clasped lightly before my apron. She tastes the quiche, chews thoughtfully, then says simply, "Perfect, Lily." That one word, perfect, warms me more than any praise could. I smile quietly, invisible yet proud, and remain still as the clock chimes 1:30, sunlight gilding the polished silver at her table. The dining room glows with soft light now, the air warm and still except for the faint rustle of my skirt as I move around the table. Mistress sits upright in her carved chair, back straight, gaze thoughtful, a woman who notices everything, especially silence. Service at this hour is not about conversation, it's about choreography. Every gesture must glide from one to the next without drawing attention to itself. I curtsy before approaching the table and announce softly, "Luncheon is served, Mistress." She inclines her head once and I begin. The order of service is always the same: main plate first, side dish second, beverage last. I place the quiche and salad before her, ensuring the garnish faces her right side. Presentation is everything. Then I step back exactly 3 paces, clasping my hands before my apron. While she eats, I stand still behind the chair to her left, my eyes lowered but attentive. The role of a maid in this moment is quiet readiness, to exist only in the periphery until needed. I listen for the soft chime of her fork against porcelain, the faint sigh that signals she may want more water. When it comes, I step forward, take the glass in one smooth motion, refill it 3/4 full, and return it without clinking. At 1:10, Mistress sets her fork down and folds her napkin, a silent cue that she is finished. I step forward immediately, curtsy again, and clear her plate with a single hand beneath the tray, the other steadying the edge. I replace it with a small dessert plate bearing the fruit tart. She smiles faintly at the gloss of the berries, though she says nothing. Compliments are rare, but her silence carries approval. While she eats, I take the opportunity to clear the sideboard, wiping the marble with a linen cloth and aligning the silver utensils into perfect parallel. When she finishes, I replace the cutlery in its drawer, fold her napkin neatly into thirds, and set it aside for washing. "Thank you, Lily," she says at last, her voice as calm as the ticking clock behind her. "Always, Mistress," I reply, bowing my head. I wait for her to leave before beginning my final task, table reset. Every trace of the meal must vanish within 20 minutes. I remove the plates, brush the crumbs into a silver tray, and wipe the table in small, even strokes. The crystal vase remains at the center, rose stem, fresh and straight. At 1:30, the room is once again pristine. No sign of service remains except for the faint shimmer of polish on the tablecloth and the warmth lingering in the air. I allow myself one long breath of satisfaction before whispering softly, "Order restored." Then I take up the tray, close the dining room doors behind me, and head toward the scullery to begin washing. After luncheon service is complete and Mistress has retired to her study, the manor grows still again. This is the hour of quiet industry where no movement is wasted and every action serves preparation for the evening ahead. I tidy the dining room one last time before beginning my mid-afternoon duties, polish the silver platter, align the chairs under the table, and fold the tablecloth for pressing later. The sunlight now pours in at a lower angle, warming the parquet floor and catching the faint scent of beeswax from my earlier work. At 1:45, I collect my notebook from the hallway console. It is my ledger of small duties, each line written in neat cursive: polish Mistress's desk, replace stationery, dust study shelves, deliver correspondence to town. I curtsy briefly toward the staircase before moving toward her study door. Mistress is inside, reading quietly, and I step only as far as the threshold to avoid disturbing her. I begin with the desk. Every morning she leaves it immaculate, but dust gathers regardless, so I work gently, wiping in long strokes with a soft cloth. The silver letter opener is polished until it mirrors my pink sleeve. The inkwell gleams, its lid centered. I check her fountain pens. 2 refilled, 1 cleaned, nib aligned with the blotter pad. The stationery drawers are restocked. Embossed paper, cream envelopes, wax seals, each aligned by edge. When I finish, I lower to one knee and clean the baseboards along the wall, careful not to scuff the polished floor. The clock above ticks softly, each second another reminder of quiet precision. Mistress occasionally glances up, but says nothing. Silence in this room is the highest form of approval. At 2:10, I gather the mail to deliver to the town post. The letters are placed in a leather pouch with brass clasps. Mistress signs the last envelope and hands it to me without looking up. "Promptly, Lily," she says. "Yes, Mistress," I reply with a curtsy. I step outside for the first time since dawn. The sunlight feels almost strange after hours indoors, brighter, freer, but even beyond the manor walls, my posture must not falter. I keep my steps measured, chin up, skirt lightly swaying in rhythm with my pace. The cobblestones gleam after the morning dew, and the scent of lilacs drifts from the garden as I make my way toward the village post. At the counter, I speak politely but briefly. "For the Devereux estate, please," and wait as the clerk stamps each envelope. When done, I curtsy lightly out of habit, then turn back toward the manor. Errands outside are never leisure, they are extensions of duty. By 2:45, I return through the side door, remove my outer shawl, and inspect my reflection in the hall mirror. No wrinkles, no dust on my apron. Curls still neat beneath my lace headband. Satisfied, I check off the completed task in my notebook, adding a small star in the margin. Mistress will see the mark later when she reviews the log. It means done without fault. The rest of the hour is spent polishing her reading spectacles, refreshing the inkstand, and dusting the globe in the corner of her study. By 3:00, every surface gleams, and the faint scent of lavender oil lingers. I close my notebook and bow slightly to the room before leaving. Service continues, but for a brief moment I allow myself to breathe in the satisfaction of order restored once again. The clock in the study strikes 3, its chime echoing softly down the corridor. That sound marks one of the most delicate parts of my day. Afternoon tea. It's a slower, quieter rhythm than the morning, yet no less demanding. Mistress prefers her tea prepared to perfection, neither too strong nor too pale, served in her favorite porcelain set with the rose pattern along the rim. I move to the kitchen to begin. The water must be freshly drawn, not reheated, so I fill the copper kettle and place it on the stove. While it warms, I lay out the tea tray, polished silver teapot, sugar bowl, milk jug, 2 cups, saucers, teaspoons, a folded linen napkin, and a small plate of shortbread biscuits. Baked this morning, edges golden and crisp. When the kettle begins to murmur, I warm the teapot first with a swirl of hot water, then spoon in the loose-leaf Darjeeling blend Mistress prefers. It steeps for exactly 3 minutes, not a second longer. During those minutes, I polish the edge of the tray with a fresh cloth, adjusting each item by touch rather than sight. At 3:10, the aroma of tea fills the air, floral, faintly sweet, comforting. I pour it carefully, strain the leaves, and place the pot at the top right of the tray. The milk jug rests to its left, handle turned outward. The sugar bowl faces front, lid aligned. I add 1 rosebud from the garden to the tiny vase that always accompanies the tray, trimming the stem so it stands no taller than the teapot. I inspect everything once more, then lift the tray and glide down the hallway toward the drawing room, where Mistress awaits. Her chair is set near the window, sunlight dappling across her book. I curtsy at the threshold. "Your tea, Mistress." "Thank you, Lily. The rose looks lovely today." I bow my head slightly. "From the east garden, Mistress." She gestures to the side table, and I place the tray gently down, then step back with folded hands. She pours her tea herself, a quiet ritual she enjoys, and for a few minutes there's only the soft sound of china and spoon. "Sit for a moment, Lily," she says unexpectedly. I obey, taking the smaller chair opposite her, careful not to wrinkle my apron. Mistress rarely invites conversation, so when she does, I know it's both test and kindness. She studies me over the rim of her cup. "You take pride in your work. I can always tell." "Thank you, Mistress." "Good pride, not vanity," she adds with a faint smile. "There's a difference. One serves, the other demands to be seen." I nod, absorbing her words like sunlight. Her approval feels softer than any praise, but carries far more weight. After 10 quiet minutes, she sets down her cup and signals with a nod. "You may clear it now." I rise, curtsy once more, and return the cups to the tray. As I carry it back down the hall, I feel lighter. The day's rhythm continues, but moments like this, quiet connection wrapped in ritual, are what make the work feel alive. By 3:45, the tray is washed, dried, and polished again, the rose placed in a glass of water on the windowsill. The manor seems to hum with contentment, the kind of peace that only comes when everything is done properly. Once the tea tray has been washed, dried, and returned to its place, the manor settles into a golden stillness. The light through the lace curtains softens and the rooms hum faintly with the warmth of the afternoon. It's the perfect time to begin the second laundry round, the quiet collection that keeps the house flawless for the evening ahead. At 3:45, I take up the wicker basket lined with clean linen and move softly from room to room. Each chamber feels different at this hour. Faint traces of perfume, the whisper of curtains in the breeze, the distant ticking of clocks. I knock gently at each door before entering, collecting used towels, pillowcases, and the delicate lace napkins from luncheon. Everything is folded neatly before it even reaches the basket. That's the rule. Folding as you go prevents creases later, and a proper maid never lets fabrics touch the floor. When I pass the guest rooms, I pause to smooth the bedspreads and straighten the cushions. It's not required, but I can't help myself. By 4 yike, the basket is half full and carries the comforting weight of soft cotton and lavender air. I stop by the master bathroom to collect the morning towels. The scent of rose soap lingers faintly on them. I fold them in half, then into thirds, corners aligned, before placing them in the basket. The sound of the cloth brushing against wicker is the only sound in the house. Next, I move to the sitting room. Mistress's shawl lies draped across the arm of the chair from her tea hour. I fold it delicately, smoothing each fringe before placing it on the sideboard for her evening use. The simplicity of the gesture brings a quiet peace. When the basket is full, I return to the laundry room. The sunlight slants lower through the window, bathing the folded towels in honeyed light. I sort the contents into separate piles: towels, linens, cloths, delicates, and replace the lavender sachets in the linen cupboard so the next load will carry the same faint sweetness. At 4:15, I take the dry delicates from the morning cycle off the rack. They're crisp but not stiff, perfectly scented. Each is folded once, then again, before being placed in the storage drawers. I pause to ensure the edges of every stack form a straight line, the mark of consistency. When the shelves are full, I record the day's totals in the housekeeping log. Sheets washed, 4 sets. Towels replaced, 8. Napkins pressed, 12. The handwriting must be flawless too. Small, neat loops, no smudges. I blot the ink gently and close the ledger. Before leaving, I sweep the floor, wipe the iron's plate with vinegar, and dust the windowsill where sunlight has gathered. The linen room gleams, and the scent of clean cotton fills the air like a reward. At 4:30, I curtsy to the empty room. A habit, yes, but also a promise, that tomorrow's work will meet the same quiet perfection. Then I lift the empty basket, now light again, and return it to its corner, ready for another day's rhythm. The afternoon sun lingers low in the sky now, filling the kitchen with a soft amber glow. The warmth feels almost alive, brushing against the polished tiles and copper pans. This is the hour of preparation, the quiet before the bustle of dinner. By now, every surface has been cleaned twice, every utensil polished, every ingredient arranged in rows as if ready for inspection. Mistress always says that a well-run kitchen should sound like silence and smell like anticipation. At 4:30 sharp, I check the menu written neatly in my notebook: roast chicken, buttered vegetables, and fresh bread. I tie on my plain work apron over my satin uniform, fold the sleeves to the elbow, and begin. The first task is bread. I measure flour, yeast, and salt into the large porcelain bowl, pouring warm milk and melted butter into the center. My hands work the dough in smooth, even motions, pushing and folding until it turns elastic beneath my palms. There's something grounding about it, feeling the texture change with patience alone. Once kneaded, I place it in a greased bowl, cover it with a linen cloth, and set it near the window where the late afternoon sun will coax it to rise. Next, I prepare the vegetables: carrots peeled into long ribbons, green beans trimmed, potatoes cubed into perfect quarters. I arrange them by color: orange, green, gold, because beauty, even in food, is part of service. Mistress believes that presentation nourishes the soul as much as flavor nourishes the body. By 5 hours, the bread has risen just enough. I shape it into 2 neat loaves and slide them into the oven. The scent of yeast and butter fills the room almost instantly, wrapping around me like comfort. I brush my hands clean, retie my apron, and turn to the main course. The chicken is already seasoned from the morning's preparation, marinated in herbs and lemon. I baste it once more with melted butter before sliding it into the roasting tray. The oven hums softly, and the kitchen takes on that perfect blend of warmth and scent, a balance between duty and satisfaction. While everything cooks, I tidy again. Counters wiped, knives polished, bowls washed and returned to their shelves. No mess may linger, not even during cooking. Order is the signature of a trained maid. I pause only once to glance through the window where the sky blushes pink and gold over the gardens. By 5:45, the bread is golden and crisp, the chicken roasting to perfection, and the vegetables glistening in their butter glaze. I prepare the serving dishes, porcelain edged with gold, polished silver cutlery, linen napkins folded into fans. Each plate is warmed before serving so that not a morsel of food ever cools too quickly. At 6 hours, Mistress enters the kitchen for her inspection. She says little, only runs a gloved finger across the counter and looks toward the bread cooling by the window. "Beautifully done, Lily," she says simply. I curtsy, heart light. "Thank you, Mistress." As she leaves, I lift the roast from the oven, brushing it once more with butter until it glows under the light. The scent fills the kitchen, a symphony of warmth, spice, and quiet pride. Dinner is ready. The house hums in harmony again, and I know that every hour of diligence has led to this, perfection served not just on a plate, but in spirit. The dinner hour is the crescendo of the day. Every moment, every motion from dawn until now, builds toward this. The kitchen glows with soft lamplight, the air warm with the scent of roast chicken, buttered vegetables, and freshly baked bread. My heart beats in rhythm with the ticking clock. 6 o'clock on the dot. Mistress expects dinner to be served precisely on time, not a minute early, not a second late. I begin by checking each dish. The chicken, golden and glistening, rests on its platter beneath a silver lid to keep the heat. The vegetables, vibrant and glimmering with butter, are arranged by color in porcelain bowls. The bread, still faintly warm, is sliced evenly and wrapped in a linen cloth. Every piece of silverware has been polished until it mirrors the soft glow of the lamps. At 6:05, I move to the dining room. The table already stands prepared from the afternoon. Crisp white cloth, china gleaming, crystal glasses line like stars. I take one last moment to breathe in the quiet perfection. Then, the routine begins. I set each dish on the sideboard in order of service. Soup first, then the roast, then vegetables, bread, and finally dessert. Every plate faces the same direction, handles aligned. I remove the lids in silence, allowing the gentle steam to curl into the air. The scent of herbs and roasted butter fills the room, warm and inviting. Mistress enters at 6:10, serene and radiant in her evening gown. I curtsy deeply. "Dinner is served, Mistress." She nods and takes her seat. Service begins like a dance I know by heart. I pour her wine first, stopping at the perfect line on the glass stem. Then I serve her the soup. Steady wrist, smooth motion, no drip. Each course transitions seamlessly. Soup cleared before the roast arrives, vegetables arranged with precision, bread offered from her left side, plate replaced from the right. Every move rehearsed through repetition until it's poetry. Between courses, I step back 3 paces, standing quietly with my hands folded before my apron. My breathing slows to match the rhythm of the evening, calm, controlled, invisible. Mistress speaks softly once or twice, and I answer with, "Yes, Mistress," or "Of course, Mistress," in the gentlest tone. When she finishes the main course, I clear the table in reverse order: bread, vegetables, roast. Each plate stacked soundlessly on the tray, napkin folded, crumbs brushed discreetly with a silver crumb knife. I check the table's symmetry again, every candle centered, every glass untouched by fingerprints. Dessert is served last, a delicate tart of berries brushed with glaze. I place it on a small porcelain plate before her, adding a fresh sprig of mint for color. Mistress smiles faintly at the presentation. That single smile means more than words ever could. As she eats, I pour her a cup of tea and step back into my quiet place once more. By 6:50, she finishes, lays her napkin aside, and rises. I bow my head. Thank you, Lily. The evening is lovely. Thank you, Mistress. When she leaves, I remain behind to reset the dining room. Plates washed, cutlery polished again, tablecloth folded neatly for pressing tomorrow. At 7:15, I extinguish the candles one by one, each flame releasing a wisp of sweet wax into the air. The room gleams in silence, reflecting the faint glow of the chandelier above. I close the door softly and curtsy to the emptiness, the quiet acknowledgement that dinner was flawless, and that is all a maid could wish for. Dinner leaves behind a particular kind of silence, the kind that hums softly through polished halls and candlelit air. It's not the hush of emptiness, but the gentle breathing of a house that's content. As soon as Mistress retires to her study, my final large duty begins, the evening cleaning round. Every mark of the day must vanish before night settles in. At 7:30, I tie on my plain cotton apron again, roll up my sleeves, and collect my cleaning caddy from the pantry. Dust cloth, silver polish, broom, mop, and lavender spray. The scent alone signals that the day is nearly complete. I begin in the dining room, where the candles still flicker faintly in their holders. I extinguish them one by one with the snuffer, careful not to blow. Mistress dislikes smoke in the air. Each silver stick is wiped free of wax, polished, and returned to its proper place. The table comes next. I clear the last of the glasses and plates, stacking them in order, crystal first, then china, then silverware. Each goes to its designated sink in the scullery. No item ever touches another directly. I wash and dry them with soft linen cloths, checking for water spots under the warm light. The rhythm of it soothes me. Wash, rinse, polish, stack. By 7:50, the table gleams like ivory beneath the chandelier. I draw the curtains, close the doors, and whisper, "Perfect," before moving on. The kitchen is my next stop. Here, the warm scents of dinner still linger, roast, bread, and melted butter, but by now they must give way to freshness. I scrub the counters, polish the copper pots until they shine like sunrise, and sweep the tiled floor from corner to corner. Even the wooden spoons are washed, dried, and hung by length. I open the back door to let in a touch of cool evening air and wipe down the sink one final time, so it sparkles like silver glass. The kettle is emptied, dried, and placed neatly on the stove, its handle turned just so. At 8:10, I carry my caddy through the main hall. The soft tap of my heels echoes lightly on the floorboards. I dust the banisters, polish the brass handles, and straighten the framed portraits along the corridor. Each surface must glow faintly under lamplight, proof that the house is alive with care. The scent of lavender follows behind me like a quiet signature. When the hallway is done, I check the sitting room one last time. Cushions are fluffed, books aligned by size, and the fire gently stirred so it burns low and even. Mistress will pass through later, and the fire's glow must greet her like a bowing servant. By 8:25, the manor is spotless once more. I pause at the base of the stairs, basket in hand, and look around. The air feels still and warm, the kind of calm that exists only when everything is in its place. I take one slow breath, then exhale into the silence. This is what I live for. The order, the rhythm, the quiet reward of a home perfectly cared for. Mistress always says, "A house well kept reflects the heart that keeps it." I like to think that by now, mine shines as brightly as the floors beneath my feet. When the last of the dishes gleam and the final candle flickers low, I know it's time. Mistress's inspection is the moment every maid both dreads and strives for. It is not punishment. It is precision, the final measure of devotion. The house has gone quiet, the kind of quiet that magnifies every heartbeat. I smooth my apron one final time, take a deep breath, and walk toward the grand hall where she waits. Mistress stands near the balustrade, poised as ever, her expression unreadable. The soft light from the chandelier turns her silhouette into gold and shadow. I stop 3 paces away, curtsy deeply, and lower my gaze. The manor is ready for your inspection, mistress. She nods once. Begin. I follow a step behind as she moves from room to room. Her heels sound sharp against the polished floors, each click echoing like a metronome of judgment. We start in the parlor. Her gaze sweeps across the mantelpiece, the vases, the fireplace. She runs a white-gloved fingertip along the marble edge. No dust. My shoulders loosen slightly, but I do not smile. A maid never relaxes mid-inspection. Acceptable, she says quietly. Next, the dining room. Mistress examines the silver candlesticks, the folded napkins, the polished wine glasses glinting in candlelight. The reflection in the glass, she says softly, should show no flaw. I nod and wait silently as she leans closer to check. A moment passes, then another. Finally, she stands upright. Good. We move on to the hallway, where she stops to touch the brass door handle. Still warm, she notes, freshly polished. Her tone is neutral, but to me that neutrality feels like triumph. I keep my voice measured. Yes, mistress, just before the hour. When we reach the linen room, she pauses longer. Her eyes follow the stacked towels, folded sheets, and lavender sachets in neat lines. Symmetry is perfection, she murmurs, and you have nearly achieved it. She adjusts one towel by 1/2 inch. Nearly. Yes, mistress. I curtsy, my heart fluttering. It's both correction and compliment, the kind that sharpens my standard rather than dulls my spirit. Finally, she turns to me. Her gaze trails from my shoes to my collar. She inspects my uniform with the same scrutiny as the room's. Gloves spotless, apron bow centered, lace even, posture aligned. She tilts her head. You carry yourself well today. Thank you, mistress, I whisper, careful not to let pride slip through my tone. Do not thank me, she replies gently. Thank the work, it made you. With that, she dismisses me. See that everything remains this way until morning. You are dismissed for your nightly routine. I curtsy once more, bowing deeply until the hem of my skirt brushes the floor. Yes, mistress. As she ascends the staircase, I remain kneeling until she vanishes from view. The faint sound of her footsteps fades, leaving me in the dim, polished glow of the hall. My reflection in the mirror looks tired but proud. The inspection is done. The house is perfect. Mistress is pleased. For a maid, there is no sweeter reward. The inspection complete and the manor silent, I finally return to my small quarters. The soft ticking of the clock feels louder now in the quiet. My body aches faintly from the day's work, tiny reminders of each curtsy, each polished surface, each step taken with precision. Yet, it's not unpleasant. It's a gentle ache, the kind that comes from purpose fulfilled. I light my bedside lamp and hang my apron neatly on the hook behind the door, smoothing the ribbons flat with my fingers. The white cotton still carries the faint scent of lavender polish and soap. My gloves are folded and placed in their drawer, ready for tomorrow. The ritual of undressing is slower than dressing. It's an unwinding of the day's discipline, but still done with grace. First, I untie the bow of my apron and fold it into perfect thirds, laying it over the back of my chair. Then, I unbutton the pink satin dress, sliding it carefully from my shoulders so the fabric doesn't crease. I smooth it out on the hanger and cover it with a linen garment bag. Every piece must be stored correctly. Even the way I fold my uniform reflects the standards of the house. Beneath the satin, the warmth of my skin meets the cool air, and I shiver slightly. It's a reminder that service is not just in the uniform, it lingers even when it's gone. I slip into my night robe, pale rose in color, with lace trim at the collar. The fabric feels soft and comforting, a well-earned contrast to the crisp starch of my daytime clothes. Then I move to my vanity, where a small basin of warm water waits. The first step, cleansing. I dip a cotton cloth in the basin and wipe my face gently, removing the faint traces of powder and blush. The mirror fogs slightly as the steam rises, softening my reflection. I apply a touch of rose toner, then dab moisturizer along my cheeks and jawline. Each stroke is slow, deliberate. Mistress says a maid's beauty lies not in glamour but in care, that neatness and cleanliness are the purest forms of refinement. Next, I brush my hair, 20 slow strokes, from crown to tip. The golden strands catch the lamplight like silk thread. I braid it loosely over my shoulder, tying it with a white ribbon before slipping on a delicate sleep cap. I check the vanity surface one last time, ensuring every bottle and brush is in its place. Then I extinguish the lamp's flame, leaving the room aglow with soft candlelight. At 9:30, I kneel beside my bed for the final ritual, gratitude. My hands rest on the quilt as I whisper softly, "Thank you for the work. Thank you for the peace and service. Thank you for the chance to begin again tomorrow." It is a simple prayer, but one that grounds me every night. Afterward, I slide beneath the crisp sheets, their coolness wrapping me in calm. The faint scent of lavender from the linens rises around me. I close my eyes, listening to the house's quiet breathing, the ticking clocks, the settling beams, the whisper of curtains shifting in the night breeze. The day's perfection drifts through my thoughts like a lullaby. My final words, murmured into the dark, are the same each evening. I served well today. Mistress will rest easily, and so will I. Sleep follows soon after, soft as silk and scented like roses.